Find yourself making the same types of changes to your model data each planning cycle? You can set up structured planning activities using data actions, which enable you to define repeatable steps centrally for multiple users to run or schedule. When you create a new data action, you start by providing a name and optional description to help your colleagues identify the process they're looking for. You also define a model, which is used as the source, the target, or both for the associated steps.
You can then save the data action publicly to make it available to other users.
Data actions support a range of step types, including copy steps, cross-model copy steps, allocation steps, conversion steps, fact deletion steps, embedded data action steps, and advanced formula steps. Steps can be added in whichever order is appropriate for your planning activities and are then executed in sequence when the data action is run, with the next data action step calculated based on the results of the previous step. You can reorder steps if required. If your data action contains multiple steps, keep in mind that a data action runs as a single transaction. This means that if any individual step fails when the action is run, any previous steps are rolled back. If you want to revert the changes, you revert all steps. To avoid these limitations, you can also set up data actions to run in sequence using multi-actions, which are covered in the How to Plan Using Multi-Actions video. To make your data actions easy to reuse, you can create parameters that enable other users to change the values of key elements. A default parameter for target version is automatically added to each data action. This parameter enables users to specify which version should be the target when data is copied, allocated, or converted as part of a data action step. You can create your own parameters for any other variables that you might want to be able to change when your data action is reused, such as numeric values like interest rates, or specific measures or dimension members. For example, you can create parameters that support selection of a specific month from the time hierarchy, and then use them to enable other users to specify the start and end dates for data operations. Parameters can be copied and modified to speed up the process. Once your parameters are defined, you can add steps to your data action. The most common step is a simple copy step, which copies data within a model from one period, version, or dimension member to another. As with the overall data action, the name and optional description you define signal to other users what the step does. The data source for the copy step is already defined based on the overall data source for the data action. This model is both the source and the target of the copy action. You also need to apply filters to ensure that the correct data is copied. By default, the target version parameter is selected for this, meaning that users are prompted to choose a version when the data action is run. Since in this case you want to copy from actuals every time, you can choose the appropriate version instead of the parameter. You can also add other filters that limit the data to be copied, such as choosing specific measures or accounts. By default, copied data matches the distribution of the source data. If you want to change that behavior, you can aggregate the data to a specific member of a dimension, such as the unassigned member, for future distribution. Finally, you can define a copy rule, which dictates the periods the values are copied from and to. To enable users to change the periods when the data action is run, you can use the parameters previously created. You can also choose whether to append or overwrite values when the data action is run. Once you've saved your changes with at least one step, the data action is complete. However, you have the option to add other steps, where the settings differ depending on the type. Cross-model copy steps are used to copy data from one planning model to another. Here, the default model becomes the target. You must specify a different model as the source, and then ensure that the appropriate dimensions and measures are correctly mapped to copy values from one model to another. Allocation steps enable you to allocate values across dimension members based on driving dimensions or by direct assignment. In the step definition, you can specify a target version and then define the source, driver, and target for as many allocation rules as are required. For more details, watch the How to Plan Using Allocation Steps in Data Actions video. Conversion steps allow you to copy values across measures that are stored in different currencies. You can choose any relevant filters and then define the conversion rules by specifying where values are copied from and to. Fact deletion steps allow you to delete facts for selected dimensions in your model, setting the entries to empty or 0. You can choose any relevant filters to define what facts are deleted. Embedded data action steps are existing actions that are repurposed in the current flow. Here, you just need to select the data action to be embedded. Keep in mind that the embedded data action must be based on the same target model. You can use multi-actions to execute data actions that use different models in sequence. Advanced formulas steps enable you to build formulas using either a visual tool or scripting for actions more complex than those covered in the other step types. Advanced formulas are covered in the How to Plan Using Advanced Formulas steps in Data Actions video, while running data actions on planning data is covered in the How to Run Data Actions and Multi-Actions video. For more information on how to use data actions for your planning activities, check out the help topic links in the description and the other videos about data actions, and try it for yourself today.